It is a great honor to deliver this keynote address at this landmark international conference on leadership and governance for sustainable change and wealth creation. The title of the keynote is Transformational Leadership in an Insecure and Disruptive Era. Building ethical, resilient, and impactful leaders for Africa. The theme of this conference, Shaping Transformational Leaders for a Changing World, Tackling Insecurity, Governance and Development, is not only timely, but imperative. Across the globe, societies are grappling with multiple intersecting crises: climate change, insecurity, economic inequality, technological disruption, and democratic backsliding. The quality of leadership has become the single most critical determinant of whether nations will thrive or falter in the face of these challenges. Leadership has long been recognized as one of the most decisive variables that determine the trajectory of nations and organizations. As Chima Achebe famously noted, the trouble with Nigeria is simply and squarely a failure of leadership. These observations remain profoundly relevant today. Recent studies indicate that the world is experiencing a leadership crisis, with 86% of global experts identifying inadequate leadership as a major challenge to solving contemporary problems. In Nigeria and many parts of Africa, this crisis manifests in poor governance, insecurity, elite capture, weak institutions, exclusionary politics, and underdevelopment despite vast human and material resources. The persistence of insecurity, from terrorism and banditry to communal conflicts and organized crime, exposes deep governance gaps. Inadequate leadership has contributed to the inability to craft inclusive, evidence-based strategies for nation building and security sector transformation. Economic and development challenges are compounded by corruption, lack of long-term planning, weak public institutions, and exclusion of large segments of the population, including youth, women, and marginalized communities, from governance and development processes. In order to change the trajectory of development across the world, especially in Africa, there is an urgent need to build transformational leaders. This is why the theme of this keynote, Transformational Leadership in an Insecure and Disruptive Era, Building Resilient, Ethical and Impactful Leaders for Africa, is very relevant and urgent. We live in a world defined by insecurity, volatility, and disruption. From violent conflict and terrorism to climate crisis, artificial intelligence and economic uncertainty, Africa finds itself at a crossroads between promise and peril. The continent's trajectory in the next decade will depend not merely on resources or technology, but on the quality of leadership that emerges to navigate this complex era. Leadership is the most important variable that affects the performance and development of any organization or nation. Indeed, as John Maxwell reminds us, everything rises and falls on leadership. Understanding transformational leadership. Leadership has been defined in various ways. John Maxwell describes it simply as influence, while Miles Monroe sees it as the ability to inspire others to pursue a common purpose. Transformational leadership goes beyond influencing people or maintaining systems. Transformational leadership is about changing people and societies for better. It is characterized by vision, integrity, empathy, and a strong moral compass. According to scholars, transformational leaders motivate followers to exceed expectations by appealing to higher ideals and values. They act as change agents who challenge the status quo, stimulate innovation, and prioritize long-term goals without compromising ethical principles. Africa faces multifaceted challenges: government deficits, economic inequality, insecurity, and erosion of values. Transformational leadership is thus not a luxury, it is a necessity for national events. It emphasizes character, vision, and the ability to mobilize people for positive change. Transformational leaders differ from transactional ones. While transactional leaders focus on compliance, performance, and reward, transformational leaders seek to transform mindset, institutions, and values. They inspire followers to think beyond personal gain, creating self-perpetuating systems of integrity and innovation. Transformational leadership is about change, not cosmetic change, but deep transformation in values, vision, and systems. It transcends daily management concern to focus on long-term goals, meaning, and moral purpose. The context: insecurity, disruption, and transformational leadership. The 21st century has unleashed multiple disruptions: technological, social, political, and environmental. In Africa, these are compounded by endemic insecurity and governance crisis. We face terrorism, banditry, farmer-elder clashes, coup, political instability, and economic exclusion. These insecurities are symptoms of deeper structural issues: weak institutions, leadership failure, and erosion of public trust. Technological disruption adds another layer. Artificial intelligence, automation, and the digital revolution are transforming labor markets and governance. Yet, Africa lags behind in adopting to this new order. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed both our fragility and our potential. This is the reality of the disruptive era, where change is constant and uncertainty is the new normal. The question is not how to avoid disruption, but how to lead through it. In a world characterized by volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity, disruption, and diversity, otherwise known as VUCA, what is required is not transactional leadership focused on short-term gain, but transformational leadership, leadership that envisions and drives fundamental change. Now to building transformational leadership, framework and practice. Leadership, contrary to popular belief, can be learned. As Miles Monroe stated, true leaders are not born, they are made. And as a matter, the cultural wing of ANC stated, leaders are not born, they are produced during the course of the struggle. Ms. Moreau put it aptly. There is leadership potential in every person. Despite this universal latent ability, very few individuals realize this power, and fewer still have responded effectively to the call. As a result, our nation, societies, and communities are suffering from an outstanding leadership void. At the African Center for Leadership Strategy and Development, CLSD, we have over the past 1.5 decades demonstrated that leadership skills can be cultivated through structured education, mentorship, and practice. Our leadership schools train leaders who embody vision, discipline, and service, and who go on to transform their workplaces, communities, and nations. We have graduated 3,020 students over the past 16 years with outstanding testimonies. Developing transformational leaders involves nurturing key traits: integrity, focus, empathy, courage, and a commitment to developing others. It also requires institutional mechanisms, leadership schools, mentoring network, and intergenerational dialogue to ensure leadership continuity. Research and experience demonstrate that leaders are made, not born. Drawing from over 16 years of leadership development through the Central Leadership School, we have identified 5 pillars for shaping transformational leaders. 1. Vision and strategic thinking. 2. Values and integrity. 3. Problem solving and innovation. 4. Influence and people development. And 5. Adaptive capacity. Transformational leadership development must be intentional and institutionalized through leadership academies, universities, civil service reform, political party recruitment processes, and civil society platforms. This is why the partnership between Aberdeen University, ABUAD, Nigeria, Trinity Western University, Vancouver, Canada, and African Center for Leadership Strategy and Development, Abuja, Nigeria, is timely, strategic, and potentially revolutionary in changing the leadership trajectory across the world. Trinity Western University is arguably the global leader in leadership education, emphasizing value-based leadership, servant leadership, ethical formation, and character development. Its offerings include Master of Arts in Leadership, Graduate Certificate in Leadership and Education, Leadership Certificate, PA in Leadership, MA in Educational Leadership, and other specialized streams and sectorial leadership. ABUAD was founded by Babalola in 2009 with mission-oriented towards excellence, human capital development, and nation building. The university has contributed to addressing the leadership deficit in Nigeria through education, character formation, and opportunities for governance and service through international leadership and governance conferences, top leadership to public lectures, value, character, and ethical emphasis, partnership, and institutional messaging. The founder, is a role model in leadership, philanthropy, and educational efforts. You received the Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Award in 2018 for exuding excellence in leadership qualities and for his contribution to human capital development through education. Today, ABUAD is arguably the fastest growing private university in Africa.
People of the Fountain.